In the shadows of the night, a man named Alfred Cass became an unfortunate victim.
You should have been more careful, Mr. Cass.
Your wealth has got someone's attention.
What did they do? How many cash do you want?
That is none of your concern. Your family will pay a handsome ransom.
In a shocking turn of events, unidentified human remains have been discovered by farmers in a jungle. Authorities are working tirelessly to identify the victim. Stay tuned for updates.
Detective, my husband has been missing since yesterday. He hasn't contacted me.
We'll do our best to find you, Mrs. Caucasian. Please provide us with any information that might help us.
Well, he hasn't been contacting us, and here are some of his pictures.
Okay. We'll launch a thorough investigation. Please try to stay calm.
Miss Gatchalian, this remains much the nationality of your husband, but we need to examine them very closely. Please take a look at them.
Please, detective, find him. I can't bear this uncertainty.
We'll do everything in our power, Mrs. Gatchalian. Please be patient.
Caucasian skulls tend to have specific characteristics. Let's compare this to confirm if this is the remains of Caucasians. Look at the cheekbones, the nasal cheekbones. These are the classifications or characteristics of the classic Caucasians.
We need to be certain before delivering any news to Mrs. Gatchalian.
Let's cross-reference the dental records as well. It will give additional confirmation.
It's crucial to be meticulous in our analysis.
Cutting-edge technology helps the investigators confirm the origin of the remains.
Computer is processing the data now. It won't be long.
Let's hope that this will lead us to the answers we need.
Caucasians is also what we call Caucasoid or Europeid. They are the populations from Europe, Western Asia, Central Asia, North Africa, and the Horn of Africa. Caucasians are the group of people having European ancestry, classified having a light skin pigmentation, and this popularized on the late 18th century by Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, a German anthropologist. On 1780s, Caucasians was introduced by Göttingen School of History. Caucasians is one of the major races along with the Mongoloid and Negroid based on the historical race classifications. In US, Caucasians used to refer to individuals of white European, Middle Eastern, or North African ancestry. This usage has faced criticism, oversimplifies and inaccurately represents the diverse background of the individuals. These are the features of Caucasians. Their nasal index has the ratio of the nasal cavity. Measure the widest part of the nasal cavity and divide by the length from the top of the nasal bone to the bottom of the nasal spine. Nasal spine is located at the base of the nasal cavity on the top part of the maxilla. Nasal ceiling or guttering is on the base of the nasal cavity on either side of the nasal spine, there will be sharp ridges, or what we call nasal ceiling, and the rounded ridges, or no ridges, is the nasal guttering. To know the prognatism of the extended jaw, make a line from the bottom of the nose down to the chin. If the line touches the skull, it is not prognatic. If line does not touch the chin, the skull is prognatic.
A Caucasian nasal index is obtained by dividing the nasal width and the nasal length. The nasal width of a Caucasian skull is 21.8 millimeters, and the nasal length is 48.1 millimeters. Dividing the numbers both, we will get 0.453, which is the nasal index of a Caucasian. The nasal index of an African skull is obtained by also dividing the nasal with the nasal length, and the nasal index of an African skull is 0.554. Now, the Asian nasal index for an Asian skull is also obtained by getting the nasal width and nasal length, and the nasal index for an Asian skull is 0.560. Generally, the range of nasal indexes for the different races are as follows. For the Caucasian, it is less than 0.48. For the African, it is more than 0.53, and for the Asian, it is between 0.48 to 0.53. Another way to differentiate a Caucasian skull from an African and Asian skull is through the nasal spines. We can see that a Caucasian nasal spine is usually prominent spine, and for the African, it is usually a small spine, and for the Asian, it is usually somewhat prominent spine. Another way to differentiate the races of skulls is through the nasal ceiling and guttering. A Caucasian has ceiling which has sharp ridges. An African skull has guttering or smooth at base, and an Asian skull has round edges. Prognatism of skulls also varies for different races. A Caucasian skull is straight, an African skull is prognatic, and an Asian, it varies. Lastly, for the eye orbital shape, a Caucasian skull is round and somewhat square. An African skull is rectangular or square, and an Asian skull is rounded or somewhat circular.
In Figure 2-38, a comparison of the general racial features of the skeletal face: Caucasian in the left, Oriental in the middle, and African in the right. In Figure 2-39, the lateral view of the same race type seen above. In this table, we can see the dental indicators of ethnicity. We have abnormality, description, and ethnicity. The first abnormality is the chisel or blade incisors. It describes as smooth palatal surfaces with little or no expansion of the proximal margin, a small cingulum, rarely a cingulum pit. The ethnicity is the black and Caucasian. Next abnormality is the shovel-shaped incisor. Varying degrees of lingual edge thickening giving rise to shovel appearance. The ethnicity is Mongoloid. In premolar, there's an occlusal enamel tubercle or pearl, a nodule of enamel on the occlusal surface, often with a pulp horn extension, normally lost early in life, can also be present at furcation. The ethnicity is Mongoloid. Next is maxillary molar carabelli cusp. The description: varying size, this additional cusp can be seen on the mesopalatal aspect of the first maxillary molar. The ethnicity is Caucasoid. The next abnormality is mandibular molars, supernumerary distolingual root. The description: third root present on the distal aspect of lower molars. The ethnicity: Mongoloid, Inuit, Native American. And next abnormality is the fourth molars, more frequent, less frequent, and the description, additional molar distal to the third molar. Ethnicity, negroid. Last abnormality is macrodont. The description, typically of central incisors. Ethnicity, Caucasoid.
The DNA test matches Mrs. Gatchalian's. But we found another DNA, and can you believe it? It's one of our own.
What? Whose DNA is that? We need to investigate this internally. Keep this discreet for now.
This complicates things. We must tread carefully.
You'll regret this!
You betrayed all of us!
We trusted you and you just jeopardized the investigation.
What a joke!
Confess your sin or you'll face the consequences.
What's this business? You need the money.
You put your greed above everything, even your duty.
Judy, look around, detective. There's no honor in the system. We did it for the money. Sir Alfred was more than dead than alive.
You tarnished the badge you wore. How could you?
Oh, spare me the righteous act.
We thought we could get away with it.
Hurry, people, hurry!
We were blinded by our own desires.
Your greed has cost you dearly. You will pay for your crimes.
It's never worth it.
The Gatchalian family can finally find closure. As the sun sets, the shadows of the past fade away, leaving only the memory of the bones that told the tale of greed, deception, and justice. The detective ensures Mrs. Gatchalian is informed of the resolution, providing a sense of closure for her and her family. As they reflect on the ordeal, they find solace in the fact that justice has been served. The detective expresses empathy and reassures Mrs. Gatchalian that she can begin to heal from the pain of uncertainty. The story concludes with the hope that the Gatchalian family can now move forward, knowing the truth about Sir Alfred Cass's fate. The legal proceedings against the traitor unfold, shedding light on the consequences of betraying the badge. The detective, though satisfied with the resolution, reflects on the darker side of human nature that they encountered during the investigation. This serves as a poignant reminder of the thin line between justice and temptation that can lead even those sworn to uphold its astray.
Natawa ka.
Just look at this! What a joke! What a joke! Your concern! Your family ba?
Nasa yung mga armas
Ito lang ba? Ay, kaya ito lang. Enjoy!